Have you ever wondered what hides in the depths of the darkest forests? Those places where sunlight barely penetrates and the secrets of the past seem to whisper in the ears of those who dare to enter. In this video, we will venture into the Pine Barrens Forest, a place where fear is not just an illusion. It is a living presence, a true, disturbing and twist-filled story that will make you question every sound, every shadow, every step you take the next time you venture into nature. Join me as we unravel the dark mysteries that inhabit this cursed forest. But beware, this is not just a story, it's a warning. Because sometimes, what you find in the woods doesn't let you return. If you're a fan of true horror stories, supernatural and psychological, this video is for you. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell and share it with those who have the courage to face the unknown. Because, as I always say, every story I tell is a mirror to your deepest fears. Are you ready to face them? The Pine Barrens Forest in New Jersey is a place that seems to have been forgotten by time. Its tall, twisted pine trees form a dark cathedral where sunlight rarely touches the ground covered in dry needles. The air is thick, heavy with the mall scent of damp earth and resin, and the silence is so absolute it feels suffocating. It was there that my brother, Ethan, convinced me to go on a cold autumn morning. Ethan had always been the adventurer in the family. While I preferred the safety of books and routine, he was always searching for something greater, something he could never quite explain. This time, however, there was an urgency in his voice that left me uneasy. "I need you to come with me. Man, there's something in Pine Barrens, something I can't understand. And if I'm right, it's going to change everything." I hesitated. Pine Barrens wasn't a place to venture into without a reason. The stories about that forest were legendary, from unexplained disappearances to sightings of creatures that didn't belong to this world. But Ethan was determined, and I, as always, couldn't say no. The next morning we met at the edge of the forest. Ethan carried a backpack full of equipment, flashlights, ropes, even a thermal camera. He seemed nervous but also excited, as if he were on the verge of a great discovery. "What exactly are we looking for?" I asked, trying to disguise the chill running down my spine. He looked at me with an enigmatic smile. "You'll see. Just trust me." As we ventured deeper into the forest, the air seemed to grow heavier, as if the atmosphere itself were watching us. The pine trees closed in above us, creating a ceiling of intertwined branches that blocked out the sunlight. The ground was covered in dry leaves and broken twigs, and every step we took echoed like thunder in that oppressive silence. That's when we started hearing the whispers. At first, I thought it was just the wind playing with the leaves, but soon I realized there was something more. They were low voices, almost imperceptible, coming from all directions at once. Ethan suddenly stopped, his eyes scanning the forest around us. "Did you hear that?" he asked, his voice a little louder than necessary. I nodded, my heart pounding in my chest. The whispers seemed to be getting closer, as if they were surrounding us. And then, for a brief moment, I could make out words. "Turn backs while you still can." Ethan laughed, but it was a nervous laugh, devoid of humor. "It's just our minds playing tricks. Let's keep going." But I wasn't so sure. Those voices felt too real, and fear began to seep into me like a cold mist. After hours of walking, we reached a clearing that wasn't on the map. In its center stood a tree that didn't belong there. Its trunk was black as coal, and its branches stretched out like tentacles, twisted and gnarled in ways that defied logic. At the base of the tree there were bones, human from what I could tell. Ethan seemed fascinated, almost in a trance. He approached the tree, reaching out as if to touch it. "Don't!" I shouted, but it was too late. The moment his hand touched the trunk, the entire forest seemed to groan. The ground shook, and the whispers we had heard earlier turned into screams. Screams of pain, of anger, of despair. Ethan fell to his knees, clutching his head as if trying to block out the sound. And then I saw something I will never forget. From the shadows around the clearing, figures began to emerge. They were humanoid, but their forms were distorted, as if they had been shaped by a cruel and impatient hand. Their eyes glowed with a pale, malevolent light, and their movements were strangely fluid, as if they weren't entirely bound to this world. "Ethan, we have to go," I screamed, grabbing him by the arm. He looked at me, and for the first time since I had known him, I saw fear in his eyes. "I can't," he murmured. "They won't let me leave." We ran through the forest, or at least we tried. The figures pursued us, always lurking, always close. Ethan was staggering, as if fighting something I couldn't see. Suddenly he stopped and turned to me. "You have to leave," he said, his voice firm but filled with sadness. "They won't let me go, but you still can't see. I'm not leaving you here." I protested, but he was already pushing me back. "Go!" he shouted. And then something changed in his face. His eyes darkened, and his voice became strangely distorted. "They're calling me." Before I could react, the figures surrounded him, pulling him into the shadows. His screams echoed through the forest, and then silence. I ran without looking back until I reached the edge of the forest. When I finally stopped, breathless and trembling, I realized I was alone. Ethan was gone, and with him, any hope of understanding what had happened. But there's something I haven't told anyone. Since that night, I've been hearing the whispers again, even far from the forest. They're getting louder, more insistent. And worse, sometimes in the reflection of the mirror, I see something behind me. Something that isn't human. Ethan was right. There's something in Pine Barrens, and now that something is coming for me. And so we've reached the end of this dark journey through the Pine Barrens Forest. But before you close this video and return to the safety of your home, let me ask you a question. Do you really believe you're safe? Because what you just heard is not just a story, it's a warning. A reminder that there are places in this world where the unknown is not just a legend, it's a real threat. And sometimes what you find in the woods doesn't let you return. If you enjoyed this video and want more stories that will make you question every shadow, every whisper, every step you take in the darkness, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell. Because, as you already know, the next tale might be the one that keeps you awake at night. Share this video with those who have the courage to face the unknown. And remember, the forest may seem silent, but it's never empty. Because, as I always say, every story I tell is a mirror to your deepest fears. Are you ready to face them?